that many, but it's close to that many. So what I'd like to do is just summarize briefly the categories of comments that I've received. First, the need for more information. So what many faculty and students have been saying, and I realize that this is a biased sample of those who have communicated to me directly and to the FAC. What are the reasons for the BOV decision? In the letter from Rep. DeFotis, we simply don't have enough reasons for why this decision was made. So they cite managerial issues as well as the sacred trust, but we would like more information on the details of the reasons for this decision. And in the absence of those, it's just too easy to conclude that those reasons are ideological. So I think all of us teach our students to look at the evidence, look at the data. In this very room, we do this on a daily basis, so that's one very common comment that I've received. There's also a lot of talk from students as well as faculty about this consulting firm that was brought in. How widely did they consult the faculty and the students? So again, I would say that we simply don't have enough information. So the first group of comments is related to a lack of information. Certainly the second group of comments I've received most in this particular category, and it's expressing specific views on the process itself, that whatever one thinks about the decision, the process is flawed in some way. So lots of comments regarding certainly the process as well as pros, cons, opinions on what happened. And then the third group of comments I've received is now what? What next? What do we do? There's a real concern that all of the achievements that many of us agree upon, that ex-President Nichol achieved, are going to be disbanded in some way or negated. So the major one that I've been hearing is, for example, the Gateway program, the stress on diversity. What's going to happen? Everybody regards diversity as important. However, it takes a very aggressive stance and a lot of action to actually implement these changes. And I'm sure that all of us have seen some of the changes brought about by the Gateway program and his efforts. So what's going to happen to those aspects of his leadership and his achievements that we all agree that we really were in favor of? There is a serious concern also that has been expressed that this is just the beginning of more, if you would call it, interference or lack of consultation, somewhere in that spectrum, of faculty opinion. That this decision really didn't take into account wide faculty opinion. Is this going to be a trend? How do we make communication with the BOV better? How do we make them understand what we're doing and what our views are, however diverse they are? So that's going to be important for the future. And then, of course, what do we do next as a body, as the arts and sciences faculty? So what I'd like to suggest here is that the goal of this meeting is to provide feedback to the FAC and to the faculty assembly, and to determine what our next step is going to be. So toward that goal, I thought we could divide the meeting into 3 parts, and this is just a suggestion, just in order to stay somewhat focused here. The first part would be focused on getting more information, just so we're all on the same page, that we all have as much information as is available at that point, to this point. And Carl is here to help with that, to answer any questions. I think Colleen was going. Is Colleen here? Okay.
She's out of town.
She's out of town. Okay. It was suggested that she attend also to see if she could add any insight into the BOV decision. So first part, just getting more information, asking questions. Then to move on to expressing your opinion. It's been called venting, whatever word you want to use there, just to get all our views out, see what we think. And then finally, the third part, what are the action items? what do we want to do next? This could be simply a request to FAC or the Faculty Assembly to get more information on specific issues. It could be a resolution. It could be just agreeing to meet again to investigate things further. It could be drafting a plan for the future to involve the BOB more closely in what we're doing. But the FAC has thought that it would probably be a good idea if we just hold off on introducing any resolutions until we get fuller information about the status of this decision and what we as a body do. So if that sounds reasonable, I'd like to then begin with requests for information.
Before we get started, I have a point of information. Most of our meetings are closed, yes?
No.
No?
The meetings are open.
Always?
Well, they can be closed. I mean, if there is a resolution, we could consider a resolution to that effect. But otherwise, the assumption is that they're open, unless otherwise changed.
You may, within a minute, call me out of order, and if you do, I understand. But I'll begin by saying I really don't think we need more information. I also believe we're being alarmist. I know this is a minority viewpoint, perhaps to the extent of 1 out of 400, but I'd like to state it. There's been a fair amount of chance for protest and discussion. Let me play devil's advocate for a moment. I accept Rector Powell's statement. It strikes me as reasonable. I saw in it an endorsement of Gateway. I saw in it an endorsement of diversity. The majority of the board are appointees of either Warner or Kane. These are not right-wing Republicans. There was a list in one of the local papers the other day of, calendar-wise, former President Nichols' primary actions. In that list, I could find easily 2 that I think would alarm any neutral observer. I was an advocate of his selection. I knew he was well to my left politically, but I thought he was forceful, articulate, and could do much for us. Let me just mention, if I can, and I'll do it in 3 minutes.
Okay, we want to keep the comments to a minimum so everybody could get a chance to speak.
Can I say? The 2 things that alarm me most are this. The early, secret, anonymous bias reporting system, which fortunately alert civil libertarians here stopped. Yet President Nichol appointed the committee, I must assume, that drew it up and accepted its recommendations. It was greatly weakened, fortunately. You do not have to be in favor of such a system, which is pushing us towards the worst excesses that we hear about, to be in favor of diversity. I can't understand why he would have allowed such an originally egregious system to be propounded. Finally, on the cross, I can well understand how many people were appalled by that decision. Diversity does not require you to deliberately diminish tradition, to blow out of proportion the significance of a symbol that has very little concrete meaning for most people at this university. We're not Bob Jones, we're not even Furman. Were I in another society, Muslim, Jewish, I would happily have meetings in the religious and societal conclaves and enjoy the artwork and the tradition. I would not find reasons for finding grievance, and that is my primary concern. I do believe that President Nichol was excessively sympathetic to manufactured synthetic expressions of grievance. I'll stop at that.
Okay. Yes.
I think that was in the venting section, so
I
I'll
think
move
so
back
too.
to
If we could
information.
go back to the information
I'd like to go back to
section, that would be
information.
great.